Imagine a world where power wasn't just numbers. What if true strength was a secret, whispered by time? What if everything you knew about military might was suddenly, shockingly, proven wrong? This happened. In 1757, against all reason, a small force faced oblivion, then unleashed an unimaginable, devastating storm. A devastating blitz, rewriting war's rules, sending shockwaves across Europe, forever etched in history's heart. This is the tale of that impossible stand, a moment when history held its breath, truly astonishing. We often think history is predictable, a march of giants, but sometimes a whisper changes everything. Frederick the Great, a king of improbable brilliance, found himself on the precipice of ruin, utterly alone. 1757, his small kingdom, Prussia, a solitary island, surrounded by a sea of powerful, determined enemies. The storm gathered, a tide of foes pressing in, threatening to swallow all he held dear, his kingdom. Against his 22,000 weary men, 41,000 strong marched confidently, anticipating an easy, crushing victory. His army, though hardened, seemed doomed, a fragile barrier against the inevitable, overwhelming, crushing wave. It felt like a chessboard where all but one piece had turned against you, utterly hopeless indeed. But Frederick was no ordinary king, and this was no ordinary war. His mind was a forge. He knew numbers could be deceiving. Speed and wit, he believed, could outmaneuver brute force and triumph. He saw not just the enemy, but the ground beneath them, the hidden possibilities, their silent secrets. And so he devised a plan, an audacious gamble, defying all conventional military wisdom and expectations, a devastatingly swift maneuver at a place called Rossbach, a name soon etched in legend, changing everything. It was a whirlwind of precision and ferocity, an attack leaving observers utterly breathless, truly astounding. This wasn't just a battle, it was a revolution in how wars were fought forevermore. A new dawn. The shockwaves of Rossbach reverberated far beyond that muddy field, across every European court. History shifted. It was a moment that redefined courage, proving that spirit can triumph over overwhelming odds. Pure resolve. Join us as we unravel the incredible tale of Rossbach, a story of impossible victory, truly unforgettable. Look closely at this map, my friend. The mid-18th century, a time of whispers and shadows across old Europe. The world, it was much larger then, yet conflicts echoed across vast oceans and distant shores. But our tale, it truly begins here, in the heart of a continent on the precipice of change. A young kingdom, Prussia, dared to dream beyond its humble place, stirred by its ambitious monarch. This rising power, however, brought unease. Its neighbors, powerful and ancient, saw only a growing threat. From Vienna, Empress Maria Theresa plotted. Silesia's loss, a wound unhealed, fueled her burning desire for retribution. And mighty France, once an ally, now turned. The diplomatic dance shifted, drawing them into the fray. Even distant Russia, under Empress Elizabeth, cast a long, formidable shadow, its vast armies stirring in the east. And Sweden, faded glory clinging to its name, sought a chance to reclaim its lost northern dominion. The Holy Roman Empire, too, a fragmented giant, reluctantly joined the tide against this ambitious Prussian upstart. Imagine, my friend, this young Prussia, a mere flicker, encircled by an overwhelming darkness, its fate so fragile. The odds were truly staggering. So many powerful hands reaching, ready to extinguish its very existence. This was not a war of choice for them, but of sheer survival, an existential fight for their homeland. When survival is all that remains, a desperate courage takes root, urging men to unimaginable feats. Frederick, a king of unique vision, honed his small army into an instrument of unparalleled precision and speed. Across the heart of Europe, the continent braced for conflict. Every field, a potential ground for bloodshed. Prussia's swift, audacious rise had upset the old European order, seen as a dangerous, ambitious affront. Every Prussian, from farmer to noble, felt the immense weight of this impending doom, their future uncertain. The fear of being swallowed whole, divided, erased from the map, was a haunting, ever-present reality. Frederick's unwavering resolve, a silent promise, became the very backbone of his beleaguered, determined nation. The stakes were not merely land or glory, but the very soul, identity, and freedom of a people. Almost alone, a solitary kingdom stood. Few allies, just their own iron will against the world. Their army, though small, was a finely sharpened blade, their only shield, their last, desperate hope. Against Prussia, the coalition commanded untold numbers, vast wealth, seemingly endless resources, a true deluge. No quick victory was ever assured. Only years of grinding conflict lay before them, a brutal, unending test. This extreme peril, it truly sets the stage for a dramatic story, a moment of fragile, desperate hope, a stubborn, unyielding spirit, deeply ingrained within the Prussian people, refused to break, even under pressure. War was not a choice for them, but a desperate, final necessity, a battle for every precious breath. And the world watched, holding its collective breath, as history prepared to cast its momentous, unyielding verdict. This desperate, precarious state, dear friend, leads us directly to that singular, defining moment, Rossbach. Here he was, the king, burdened by a crown heavier than gold, facing a storm. They called him the wind-whispered tales of encroaching shadows, a kingdom teetering on a precipice. He was a philosopher king, preferring books and music, yet war demanded a different, sharper mind. Necessity, a stern tutor, was molding him into a ruthless innovator, a soldier by grim duty. Prussia's coffers, already strained thin, echoed with an ominous, hollow sound. The price of survival, every farmer, every artisan, now a soldier. Manpower stretched to its very breaking point. The ancient Hohenzollern dynasty, its legacy woven into the very fabric of Prussia, now stood imperiled. The king felt the burden of generations, fearing his reign might spell the end. This wasn't merely a war for land, it was a struggle for Prussia's very soul. From the west, a gathering storm, a colossal shadow began its slow, menacing march. The combined might of France and the Empire, a formidable host of 41,000 seasoned men, they marched with the confidence of giants, assured that victory was a mere formality. Their objective clear: to crush Frederick, to extinguish the defiant Prussian flame, swiftly and utterly. Against this overwhelming tide, Frederick could muster but a fraction of their strength. Only 22,000 Prussians, battle-hardened and loyal, stood between them and oblivion. Each man a testament to Prussian discipline, forged in countless skirmishes, facing daunting odds. Retreat meant losing vital ground, yielding territory he had fought so hard to secure. To retreat was to concede. To fight meant gambling everything on a desperate, audacious hope. An impossible choice loomed, a dilemma that would define his legacy and Prussia's fate. The weight of an entire kingdom rested squarely upon his weary shoulders now. He understood the stakes: survival or utter annihilation, a gamble he must undertake. Then, a spark of audacity, a dangerous idea began to form in his brilliant mind. He would not retreat. He would confront them, not on his terms, but on theirs. A small village, little known, would soon become the stage for an extraordinary confrontation. This seemingly insignificant place was chosen not by chance, but by a cunning, desperate calculation. Frederick saw not just a village, but a crucible, a strategic chessboard to exploit. His decision, bold and defiant, would set the stage for a moment etched forever in history. The dawn brought not despair, but a quiet, formidable resolve to the outnumbered Prussians. Rossbach awaited, a testament to courage, genius, and an impossible choice made manifest. Numbers, they felt, were a language spoken fluently by fate itself, whispering of certain victory in the coming hours. They saw mere Prussians, a ragged force, easily crushed beneath their mighty, unstoppable heel. A simple task, truly. Disdain settled heavily in their hearts, a dangerous comfort. They believed themselves beyond reproach, beyond any real challenge. From afar, the Allied commanders watched, convinced of their own grand design, oblivious to deeper, unseen currents. The thought of an easy victory settled like a warm blanket. Their minds saw only triumph, swift and utterly inevitable. This wasn't just battle. It was a grand performance, a triumphant march for an audience of kings. They were certain. Their advance began, a slow, almost leisurely unfolding across the landscape. No urgent rush, no perceived need. Each hoofbeat echoed confidence, not haste. Their leisurely pace was a testament to their deep-seated, fatalistic certainty. The grand design was simple: to cut off any Prussian escape, to trap Frederick's forces utterly and irrevocably. They envisioned a net, woven with sheer numbers, closing in. A simple, elegant solution for their inferior foe. There was no fear in their hearts, only a quiet determination to execute a plan they deemed flawless and unassailable. Like a tide, they flowed, convinced of their destiny. Each step brought them closer to what they believed was an easy victory. They believed the Prussians, once trapped, would simply surrender. Why would anyone resist such a mighty, inevitable force? But Frederick, he saw more than just numbers. He saw the very heart of the land, its whispers and its secrets. His mind was a forge, hammering strategy from observation, weighing every hill, every valley, every Allied step. Here, on this rugged ground, he sought not a direct clash, but an unseen truth, hidden in plain sight. While they saw weakness, he saw opportunity. While they moved slowly, he saw a vulnerability they could not perceive. The land itself became his ally, a silent conspirator in a game of shadows and light against overwhelming odds. He knew this ground, truly knew it, as one knows the lines on one's own hand. This was his sanctuary, their slow, confident advance. To them, a sign of strength. To Frederick, a critical flaw, a fatal rhythm. A frontal assault was suicide. He knew that deep in his bones. A different path, a cunning way must be forged. The stage was set, not for battle, but for a magnificent deception, a quiet, almost invisible sleight of hand. To appear weak, to seem to flee, was the first vital step, to draw them in, ever closer, into his web. The Allies watched, their arrogance swelling, believing Frederick was indeed retreating. Their trap, they thought, was sprung. This manufactured withdrawal, a calculated gambit, lulled them deeper into a false, comforting sense of absolute security. Complacency, a subtle poison, began to seep into the Allied ranks, dulling their senses, blinding their foresight. Every feint, every slow movement, was a brushstroke in Frederick's grand masterpiece of strategic illusion. They marched on, confident their prey was cornered, unaware they were stepping into a trap far more intricate. The unseen trap was being meticulously laid, piece by quiet piece, just beyond the reach of their understanding. Every dip, every ridge, every seemingly empty space was about to play its crucial hidden part. His true design, a revolutionary counterstrike, lay concealed, waiting for the perfect, agonizing moment to erupt. They thought they held the cards, the numbers, the inevitable outcome. They were so very, terribly wrong. The stage was now set, not for retreat, but for a thunderous, unimaginable display that would shake Europe. They watched the Prussians seemingly retreat, a flicker of triumph in their eyes. The trap felt sprung, victory assured. And so, the vast Allied forces moved, a great, confident arc across the land, believing their prey was cornered. Their intent was clear: to sever any escape, to close the net. They felt Frederick's fate was sealed. But what seemed their moment of triumph was, in truth, the quiet unfolding of Frederick's own brilliant deception. Below the ridge, intense, silent preparations. No hurried movements, just focused, patient anticipation of what lay ahead. This was the heart of Prussian speed and discipline, a silent, formidable machine poised to strike. Whispering through the quiet landscape, artillery moved. each heavy piece positioned with a profound, urgent purpose. Behind those silent, unassuming ridges, infantry advanced, a hidden tide preparing to wash over the unsuspecting. Each disciplined soldier knew the coming storm. A quiet resolve settled upon them, awaiting the fateful signal. The Allied flank, wide and vulnerable, unwittingly presented itself, a gift to Frederick's meticulous, patient strategy. A profound silence now, heavy with unspoken questions. Suspense built, an invisible cord tightening around the unsuspecting. From his vantage, Frederick made a quiet decision. A nod, a gesture. The master plan continued its unfolding. The land itself seemed to conspire, hidden paths now revealed, opening the way for Frederick's grand design. Artillery, meticulously positioned, lay silent and unseen. Each gun, a hidden promise of devastating, sudden fire. Below the horizon, ranks formed. A silent, disciplined host ready to surge forward at their king's command. Bayonets gleamed, then vanished beneath the earth's gentle curve. The waiting was the hardest part. The world above felt serene, untouched. Sunlight kissed the ridge, unaware of the fateful drama unfolding beneath it. Confidence swelled within the Allied ranks. They marched onward, certain of their victory, oblivious to watchful eyes. On the wind, a faint whisper, a distant sound dismissed, a small omen, unheard by those destined to meet it. Quiet nods, knowing glances between officers. Maps unfolded, destiny charted. The plan was in motion now. The afternoon deepened. Shadows grew long, painting a landscape of serene beauty, masking the imminent fury. A deep breath taken. A final moment of peace before the chaos. Every nerve braced for the call. They marched, these Allied soldiers, their laughter echoing, so unaware of the silent, unseen eyes watching every stride. Frederick's hand, steady as stone. Every calculation made, every risk weighed. He played a dangerous game. The ridge's edge, a silent witness. A thin line between concealment and confrontation, between life and death. With silent efficiency, caissons moved, ammunition supplied, preparing the stage for the thunder that would soon erupt. The Allied left flank, vulnerable and exposed, presented itself, a perfect target for the trap Frederick had so patiently laid. In their eyes, a fierce, quiet readiness, anticipation honed by discipline, now burned brightly, awaiting release. The air grew heavy, thick with profound silence. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the breaking point. A subtle curve on Frederick's lips, a silent, knowing smile. The hunter's satisfaction before the hunt began. Final checks, small gestures, silent goodbyes. The last preparations before plunging into the terrifying, unknown abyss. The world held its breath. Two mighty forces, one moving with false confidence, the other poised for a sudden, devastating strike. Then, a whisper of steel, a ripple across the hidden lines. Frederick's ingenious trap, now sprung in earnest. The Allied army, vast and confident, began their march, believing destiny was firmly on their side that morning. They dreamt of glory, of outmaneuvering Frederick, perhaps even of an easy, decisive victory at last. Their long columns, a parade of power, stretched across the field, unknowingly exposing their very heart. They sought to encircle, to overwhelm with sheer numbers. But sometimes, sight deceives, and confidence blinds. Hidden eyes watched their every step, a silent vigil holding breath as the trap slowly, patiently tightened. Frederick, ever the fox, saw their folly. He held his breath, anticipating the perfect, terrible, precise moment. They pressed on, eyes fixed on their goal, their grand design. Victory, they believed, was just beyond the next horizon. Then, a whisper of a command, barely a breath, the stillness before the storm, before the world erupted. From the quiet hills, a hidden fury stirred. Long, silent cannons, now ready to roar their terrible song. The silence shattered, a thunderous crash, and the very air was torn apart, signaling absolute devastation. Cannonballs ripped through ranks, a horrifying, unseen scythe. Men screamed, their confident march dissolving into terror. What was happening? Where was this hellish fire coming from? Panic, a cold grip seized their hearts. Relentless, merciless, the cannonade tore through them. There was nowhere to hide, no escape from the iron storm. Their proud formations dissolved. Officers tried to rally, but fear, like wildfire, spread through their ranks. The flank, so carelessly exposed, became a slaughterhouse. Every shell found its mark, sowing unimaginable chaos. Then, from the smoke-shrouded slopes, emerged a new terror. Prussian infantry, moving with impossible, chilling speed. Like a coiled spring released, they surged forward. Each step was disciplined, swift, a hammer blow approaching. No hesitation, no doubt, only grim resolve. They were a force of nature, an unstoppable, disciplined tide. The oblique order, a stroke of genius, formed perfectly, a deadly angled wave, aiming for their very soul. The ground itself trembled beneath their disciplined charge, a silent, terrifying promise of what was to come. From artillery's shock, they glimpsed their doom. A wall of blue, bayonets gleaming, closing in rapidly. Then, the fire. A crashing volley, a concentrated storm of lead. Their exposed flank shattered instantly. They hadn't even fully faced the threat. Now, they were crumbling, disintegrating under the overwhelming, precise fire. Reload, fire, advance. A brutal, relentless rhythm. The Prussian war machine was now in its terrifying full glory. The initial shock gave way to pure instinct. Bayonets clashed, but the will to fight was rapidly draining away. It was a rout, swift and absolute. Cohesion lost. Their proud army became a desperate, fleeing, terrified mob. The hussars, swift as the wind, swept in. Their charge turned retreat into a frantic, complete, agonizing flight. The field was littered with loss, despair. A once proud army, now utterly broken, its spirit crushed irrevocably. Frederick watched, his grim plan fulfilled. A testament to audacity, to speed, to an unyielding, brilliant mind. As the smoke began to clear, an astonishing truth emerged. A battle won in mere hours, a truly stunning victory. They stood victorious, almost bewildered by the speed. The sheer audacity of their triumph would echo through history. A tattered flag, a broken dream. Rossbach would forever stand as a testament to Prussian military might. And in that devastating, swift storm, the balance of power in Europe dramatically, irrevocably shifted once more. The air grew heavy, thick with unspoken dread. A moment of pause, but not of peace. They stood, weary souls, believing the worst was past. Oh, how quickly belief, like glass, shatters. The Allied flank, a vulnerable stretch, unknowingly waited. A storm brewed, unseen, ready to engulf everything. High above, Seydlitz watched, a hawk eyeing its prey. 7,000 horsemen, a silent, coiled serpent. A silent command, then the signal. The breath held, a single note poised to unleash untold fury. Then, a murmur, a rumble, growing. 7,000 hooves began their terrifying dance. Earth itself trembled. The earth began to sigh, then groan, under the weight. A distant, growing thunder, an approaching storm. A whisper spread, then a shout. They saw it now. A dark wave cresting, utterly overwhelming. 7,000 thunderbolts, unleashed. A wall of horsemen, precise, terrifying, an impossible force to withstand. The ground itself convulsed beneath their feet. A tremor, a warning, then the full, deafening roar descended. The first impact, a sound like a world breaking. Steel against flesh, order against pure, unbridled chaos. Artillery roared, adding to the din. Infantry fire, relentless, tore through the already crumbling ranks. Amidst the horror, Prussian precision shone. Each thrust, each rider, part of a devastating, unstoppable machine. Desperate shouts, futile attempts to rally. The Allied line, once resolute, began to tear. then unravel completely. Terror, raw and primal, seized every soul. A soldier's eyes, a mirror to absolute, unshakable despair. The relentless tide surged forward, deeper now. Nothing could halt this momentum, this terrifying, thunderous wave. Formations shattered, cohesion gone. The once proud lines dissolved, like sand against an overwhelming, crushing ocean. A flag falls, a symbol lost in the storm. Individual courage, a fleeting spark against an inferno. The air, thick with dust and screams, pulsed. A symphony of terror, war's ultimate brutal haunting song. Discipline, a fragile thread, snapped. Each man for himself now, a desperate, solitary flight from the abyss. Panic, a contagion, swept through them all. Rational thought dissolved. Only the instinct to survive remained. Weapons abandoned, burdens cast aside. Only escape mattered. A frantic scramble from the jaws of oblivion. The rout, swift and absolute, became a torrent. A river of broken men fleeing from impossible, crushing defeat. The Prussians pursued, relentless and swift. No chance to reform, no moment to gather, only endless flight. The ground, a graveyard of forgotten things. Each discarded item, a silent scream of desperate, hurried flight. The once proud army, now scattered dust. A formidable host, utterly broken, vanished into the fading light. The thunder receded, replaced by the wind's whisper. Prussian riders surveyed the devastation, their victory absolute. A quiet, somber satisfaction painted their faces. The sheer scale of destruction, a chilling testament to their might. The sun dipped low, a bloodied coin in the sky. It cast long shadows on a field forever changed. The silence that followed, profound and deep. It spoke volumes of lives lost, destiny irrevocably altered. A discarded helmet, a quiet, stark reminder. Every life here a story unfinished, a silence too vast. Rossbach, a name now whispered with awe and dread. A day etched in time, forever haunting Europe's memory. And so, the Prussian thunder echoed, a brief, brutal symphony, leaving an indelible mark upon history. The sun dipped low, painting the horror. Their formations shattered. A flood of desperate men broke. What began as order dissolved. A grand army, now merely fragments, scattered across the vast fields, fear etched deep, stealing their resolve. The grand march had become a desperate, agonizing flight. No rallying cry, just the pounding of feet. Each man for himself, a profound, lonely struggle. Prussia's pursuit, methodical and firm. Not rage, but grim duty, guiding them towards surrender. The ground became a silent testament. Swords, shakos, the tools of war, simply abandoned, forgotten. Heavy wagons, supplies for thousands, now lay broken. A trail of what once was, left behind. Banners, once proud, now lay soiled. The symbols of regiments, trampled, stripped of all their honor. Uniforms, once crisp, lay scattered. Empty shells of pride, reminders of swift, terrible defeat. Then, a profound quiet descended. The echoing shouts of battle faded, leaving only ghosts and stillness. The cries of the fallen lingered. Those left behind, their hopes and pain, a silent, heavy toll. Thousands, disarmed and humbled, walked, their spirit broken. A long, weary procession began home. An endless river of broken souls. Their numbers swelled, a testament to absolute, devastating victory. The true cost, a staggering sum. Thousands of lives, dreams, all lost on this unforgiving day. A single face, 1,000 sorrows. The weight of defeat, a silent, personal burden, heavy indeed. On the other side, quiet relief. Prussians tired but standing, their ranks remarkably whole. Their numbers, almost untouched, a whisper of fortune, a miracle etched onto the very earth. The gulf between them, unimaginable, a chasm of fate, etched in blood and remarkable Prussian discipline. This victory, a bewildering gift, a moment to breathe, to simply acknowledge the impossible had happened. Frederick, ever the pragmatist, watched. No grand celebration, just a quiet, calculating assessment of victory. His gaze already strayed eastward. Other shadows loomed, other battles yet to be fought. Rossbach's impact, a thunderous echo. Yet, the road ahead remained long, arduous, and deeply uncertain. A new dawn, but not yet peace. The memory of this day, a quiet, potent force for Prussia. Rossbach was more than a battle. It was a sudden lightning strike across the quiet heart of Europe. News traveled like wildfire, igniting disbelief and awe in every court and coffee house. A world stirred. The long-held myth of French military superiority, a comforting shield for many, lay shattered that cold day. And in its place, a new star ascended. Frederick the Great, hailed as a true military genius. His name became a whispered legend, a testament to what a single brilliant mind could achieve against giants. Rossbach cemented his place, not just in history books, but in the very soul of military lore. Prussia, once a lesser player, now stood formidable, a power to be reckoned with across the continent. The victory silenced doubters, establishing its might, a new weight in Europe's delicate balance of power. Their disciplined ranks and unwavering courage had earned them respect and a fearful admiration. Rossbach wasn't just a win, it was a lesson, showcasing a new era of lightning-fast warfare. Speed became a weapon, maneuver a dance of shadows, outwitting foes before they could react. Discipline, like an unbreakable chain, bound men together, transforming them into an irresistible force. And concentrated firepower, a sudden tempest, swept away overwhelming numbers, defying all conventional wisdom. It was a stark reminder. Quality and cunning could indeed triumph over mere quantitative strength. The echoes of Rossbach resonated through centuries, shaping military thought, a blueprint for future strategists. From Napoleon to later commanders, the battle's lessons on decisive action were keenly studied. It was a precursor to shock and awe, proving the power of psychological paralysis through overwhelming force. The precision and audacity displayed became a timeless model for those seeking swift, decisive victory. Rossbach became a powerful symbol of Prussian resilience, a beacon of hope in darkest hours. It gave them crucial morale, a belief in their own strength to endure a brutal, prolonged war. And perhaps most importantly, it bought Frederick the precious time he desperately needed to survive. Ultimately, Rossbach reminds us that true military success stems from courageous hearts and brilliant minds. It's not merely about numbers, but the unconquerable spirit and ingenuity to overcome impossible odds. The quiet fields of Rossbach, long after the thunder, still whisper tales of an impossible dawn. What did that sun-drenched day teach us truly? Lessons etched deep, for all time. Beyond the numbers, beyond the odds, lay the sharp blade of brilliant tactical genius, shining. Then, the astonishing speed of their movements, a whirlwind that left their enemies utterly breathless, and that unwavering discipline, honed by fire, binding them as one formidable, unstoppable force. Facing an enemy twice their strength, they carved victory from the jaws of overwhelming odds. Even today, strategists still pore over Rossbach, finding inspiration in its daring, elegant dance. Historians, too, ponder its echoes, seeking the heart of a story that defies all expectations. It stands as a testament, a gentle reminder of what human spirit can achieve against impossible walls, all born from a leader's clarity, a vision that cut through the fog of doubt. So, my friend, what truly seized your heart in this tale of Rossbach's improbable triumph? Share your thoughts, your deepest reflections, in the quiet space of the comments below. If this incredible journey through time resonated deep within your very soul, then please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to keep our shared story alive.